Okay, so, herzlich willkommen zu einem ganz kurzen zusätzlichen Ausflug nach Pathfinder. Das wurde nie gestreamt, das nehme ich jetzt nur rein auf. Wir sind da in der letzten Area, wo wir gerade dann eben letzten Stream, wo wir Pathfinder unseren Playthrough beendet haben, eben halt auch in der letzten Area von demselben Playthrough. Und der Plan ist da jetzt einfach das Ende dahingehend anzupassen, dass wir einerseits den Mage da unten retten und andererseits dann eine Erinnerung von uns zurücklassen, wenn wir uns als Aeon auflösen. Demnach machen wir da jetzt gleich mal einen Safety Save, falls die Conversation schief geht, wir den Roll eben nicht schaffen, dass wir einen Quick Load machen können. So, Setri, we don't need to fight. I was the one who warned the guards about the ritual Arilu Warlash is about to perform. We're on the same side. My name is Opon. Don't you remember me? Setri Divam's face twisted to a grimace of disgust. We will never be on the same side, spellcaster. Please, stop. I beg you. Don't force me to defend myself. We should be fighting Arilu, not each other. Opon glances around nervously like a concerned animal searching for an escape route. When he notices you, he calls out hurriedly. I don't know who you are, and I don't care. Please, help me talk some sense into him, stranger. Stay where you are, stranger. I will deal with you after I cut down this traitor to Sakoris. Stop. I will not allow this injustice to happen. Injustice? You have no right to stand in the way of Threshold's first hunter. I decide what is just. So, und dann gehen wir da mit dem Diplomacy Roll. Succeeded. You think the punishment is too harsh? You may be right, stranger. Perhaps I am being unjust. These mages should not be executed without a fair trial. Perhaps you are being too harsh? You are such a hypocrite. You were ready to execute me on sight just because I happen to practice arcane magic. Yes, I know magic. So what? I know something that you do not, but that doesn't make me a criminal. Magic may be a weapon, but so is a sword. No one should be punished simply for owning a weapon, especially if they never used it to hurt anyone. You are unjust, and so are your laws. They have outlived their usefulness, and now we are standing on the brink of disaster. Open's voice cracked with emotion. He can no longer hide his bitter resentment. So, dann haben wir da jetzt einen Easy Arcane Check oder einen Easy Intimidate Check. I know all about magic. Okay, wir haben da einen Show Ring of Summoning to open. I know your story, Open. I know that you have never raised your hand to strike another and you have never wanted anyone to come to harm. But can you say the same about other spellcasters? What will happen if all the magic users in Threshold are suddenly set free? Are you prepared to take responsibility for all the crimes they might commit? Das wird uns wohl nicht helfen. Also, knowledge, arcana, I know all about magic. I know that in the wrong hands it can be a terrible weapon. The laws of Sakoris may be too harsh, but they are right to restrict the use of magic. Without the restrictions, country would plunge into chaos. What? Intimidate. Wake up, come to your senses before you get yourself killed. Your dreams about innocent mages are nothing more than a naive fantasy. Laws exist for a reason, they must be followed, not broken. If you want things to change, convince your leaders to rewrite the laws. Das klingt gut. Convince your leaders to rewrite the laws. Finally, he says with some reluctance, you're not wrong, stranger. My rebellion is little more than the histrionics of a weary spellcaster, but now I see what I must do. Cetre, I'm begging you, help me present my request to the clan council. Help me change the laws of Sakoris so justice can prevail. I'll see what I can do. Cetre seems to have made up his mind. He slowly removes his hand from his weapon. We'll talk after we stop that witch Warlash. Thank you. And thank to you, stranger. This will be the dawn of a new era in Sakoris. Please, can you tell me who you are? Where did you come from? What is your name? My name is Serda. I am an Aeon and I have come from the future. Let me tell you what is about to happen. Arilu Warlash will open a rift to the abyss. A war between the planes will rage for 100 years and Sakoris will be destroyed. However, I am here to change all of that. I will stop the witch before she commits a heinous crime. This is all hard to believe, and yet, I trust you, Serda. You speak with a wisdom beyond that of priests and druids. An Aeon? Very well. I suppose I'll humor you. I'm glad you showed up when you did. We need all the help we can get. Nice, nice. Come to me, my minions. Rip this scum apart. Tear them limb from limb in the name of the greatest curry. The demon glances around and sniffs contemptuously. Take the guard and the mage alive. We'll give them to that worthless witch as a reward for her efforts. Got everyone else. So that's that. Und dann... I don't know. Heal Maß. Warum habe ich Heal gecastet? Das wollte ich nicht. Ich Knub. Weird, war jetzt auch nicht so erfolgreich, muss man sagen.
Cover me, all right?
Amber. Kommt durch das Spellrace nicht durch. So, Arushale, wenn du den killen würdest, war geil. Okay, damit haben wir das gröbste Problem aus der Welt. Damit haben wir das gröbste Problem definitiv aus der Welt. Schade, dass das dann nicht hingehauen hat. Das wäre nice gewesen.
Stab you or zap you? Not both.
Tradition is irrational.
Was ist da los, Amber? Hey, da geht ja gerade gar nichts.
The Inheritor, guide my blade. Desna, guide my hand.
Na, Retaliation will ich nicht geben. Was ist Non-Resistance? Becomes dazed, genau das habe ich gesagt. Your saving throw succeeded. Die liegen alle am Boden, hä? Probieren wir noch einmal Stormbolt Stun. Wieder nix.
Distract them from me.
Immune. Gut, wie kann man eigentlich zapp?
No glory without risk.
Dass da nix weitergeht bei dem, hä?
Make your peace.
treasures.
Endlich kommt er durch. So, passt. Die leben. My strength is failing. I won't be able to help you fight Arilu. Nice, bro. So, ist aber nicht weiter tragisch normal. So, da geht's nicht runter. Ja, ist schon lange her, dass wir das gemacht haben. So, dann. Kann die Amber ja schon einmal ihren Cheese-Spell vorbereiten, weil warum nicht so? Es ist eh nur einfach noch einmal das Ganze wiederholen. So, machen wir noch einmal einen Safety Save, weil das hat oben eigentlich ganz gut funktioniert.
This is where it is going to happen. This is where I will perform the ritual. I will sow my spirit to the essence of the abyss and see the world around me change. Each stitch will bring Galarian closer to the abyss. And once I am done, I will do the same to your soul. Welcome, Aeon from the future. I have been awaiting your arrival, and you did not disappoint me. A researcher must be particularly resilient in the face of mistakes, incorrect hypotheses, and failed experiments. You are my future mistake. I do believe that I will feel some regret for ending your current life, but you can rest assured that such sentiments will not stop me.
Do you know who I am and where I've come from?
I learned the answers to those questions a long time ago. The week before I was captured, someone paid a visit to my laboratory. They appeared out of nowhere, said a few words, and then vanished without a trace. It was a most curious encounter, and it is even more curious now that I have discovered the truth of your origins. You are from the future, and have traveled back in time to stop my research.
Das ist richtig.
You are a failed experiment. I merged the shards of my son's soul and the soul of a mortal man together to create you. But it does not matter. I will correct my mistake. I will correct you.
I know that everything you've done has been for a single purpose, to save your child.
Yes. And no. Even if I could have brought back my son, I wouldn't have stopped at that. I wouldn't have been satisfied. Not after what I'd gone through. Not after the things I'd learned. I want to become stronger, and I wish the same for my child. I don't want to be afraid of anything. It is not the dogs of Threshold that stand against me, nor is it Sarkoris itself. It is the very laws of a world governed by death, weakness, and parting. This Nehindrian crystal will do more than create a rift. I must find a way to use it for another purpose. To free my son from the forces that make us weak and mortal. And I know now that I will succeed. But I wish to know what you think. Do you enjoy living in a world where your entire life cycle has been predetermined? Everything from your birth to what will happen to your soul after you die has been decided for you? Or do you want to be the master of your own destiny? Do you want a world that you can change? A world that offers you the chance to be anything you want?
I cannot justify your actions, but I understand them.
I find it strange that you're a kindred spirit. We are so alike. It's almost enough to persuade me that the experiment won't be a total failure. But no. No.
Why did you call me your mistake?
I am going to pour what is left of my son's soul into the soul of a common mortal. They say death and the judgment of Pharasma purges the soul of everything it once was in life. But this cannot be true. I have researched this subject meticulously and have collected enough evidence to prove that supernatural beings born from mortal souls can recall their past. Sometimes partially, and sometimes fully. Yet your presence here, your desire to resist me, proves that my hopes did not come true. The memory of my child has failed to awaken. There is nothing familiar about you. Nothing at all.
You're going to merge the remnants of your son's soul with mine. So why do you want to harm me?
If a hypothesis is proven wrong, it needs to be rejected. But the research process does not stop there. That is all I can tell you right now.
You're going to maim your soul. When you open the word wound, you're going to doom yourself.
Quite possibly. I find it difficult to argue about things that have not happened yet. But you are here, trying to stop me in your past and not your present. And that makes me think I may not be doomed after all.
I have no more questions.
Then let us end this. As you can see, I have other important matters to attend to.
You are breaking the laws of Sarkoris and of Golarion itself. It is my duty as an Aeon to stop you.
When I reach my goal, I will be above all laws. But until then, I will have to deal with those like you. I hope you weren't planning on catching me by surprise. When you visited my laboratory, your power surprised me and gave me some ideas. I think I managed to reproduce some of your mythic abilities. When my demonic allies are in proximity to the Nahindrian crystal, they will experience power beyond measure. I will be interested to see if it surpasses yours. Death does not have to be the end. I have spent years trying to prove it, and I will not relent in my efforts. This experiment may fail, but that simply means I need to make further adjustments. I'll try again. I am still alive. I still have time. You, the current you, will have to die, but only to surrender the soul you share with my son. I will correct my future mistake. I will double-check my calculations. Things will be different, more precise. I will turn the world upside down if I must. I promise.
Na dann. Evades. Scheiße an, hä?
Surrender or else.
No matter.
I will resist.
Cover me, all right?
die Frau Wallace dem Spell ja evadet, wenn man nur schnell die Baden da wegmachen. Wenn wir da gerade auch noch drankommen, machen wir da auch noch so viel Damage wie halt geht. Okay, so, das war's. Sind ja normal nicht so das Problem, die Gegner da. Deswegen holen wir da jetzt noch eine Golems einer. Die verprügeln uns sowieso einfach. Was denen für die Fäuste kommt, die sind ja absolut gnadenlos. So, die Frau Wallace, schauen wir mal. Dann werden wir da jetzt dann noch ein Weird probieren. Sehr schön, traumhaft war das. Das war wirklich traumhaft. Und erledigt. Easy.
You are stronger than I could have anticipated. As your creator, I should be proud. To be defeated by the one I have imbued with power. Is there any higher praise? But I'm tired. You won't hear me pleading. Let us finish this experiment here and now.
By the power of the Aeon, I hereby deliver your sentence. You will die now, and your death will prevent the creation of the Word Wound. You may say your final words.
Then here are my final words. I regret nothing.
The icy touch of the cosmos chills you to the bone. The cold permeates your body down to your very soul. Arilu Wallace is dead, and your right to exist perished along with her. She will no longer be able to create you in your current existence as a vessel for two souls. She will not imbue you with mythic power. Perhaps somewhere, mortal will soon be born with a soul that is identical to yours. But that person will not be you. A thought comes unbidden into your mind. You stopped Arilu and carried out the sentence pronounced by the universe, and in so doing committed a crime against the cosmic order. The world has changed. It has reverted to its original state before the war against the Abyss. Before the creation of the World Wound, before Arilu Wallace broke any laws. You punished the guilty, but she ceased to be guilty the moment you executed her sentence. The world around you fades into darkness, but you sense the approval of the Aeons. They have watched you from among the stars, and though you cannot see them, you know they are near. Everything has happened as it should. You have fulfilled your role as judge, and now you have one final duty to perform. You must now face the judgment of the gods themselves. By administering justice, I broke the law and invalidated my own existence. I will soon depart, but you shall remain and will be teleported to where you belong. I oppress the silencings over you. Must decide whether to leave a memory of yourself or to depart quietly and be gone forever. Cease to exist, but leave a memory of yourself. The darkness surrounds you, embracing like a long-lost friend. The cold of the cosmos fades away, and you realize that eternity awaits you. Only tranquility remains, for you have earned your repose. You are leaving the world behind a better place. Of course, it is still full of injustice, but that is no longer your responsibility. Your task is finally complete. You will be remembered by those who remain. This thought illuminates your mind like a final ray of light. Then, darkness falls.
rest would be welcome.
Life and death, destiny and great deeds, answers to mysteries, the search for one's true path. The mind can comprehend all of these, and then such concepts can be written down as a sequence of formulas, a series of lines, a chain of thought. Still, a moment always comes when it's time to wrap up, to reach a conclusion, to put a period at the end of the last sentence. But what conclusion can one draw if the experiment never took place? The Word Wound was never opened, the Demon Lords never assembled their armies and never betrayed each other, no more than usual at least. Sarkoris continued to exist, and the Rilu Warlash never bestowed mythic powers upon anyone. Having traveled back in time, he prevented the Word Wound from being opened and completely rewrote the last 100 years of history. To the end of their days, Cetri Demai and Opan loathed each other, but their mutual enmity did not stop them from laying down a system of rules and regulations in the Threshold Fortress that satisfied both the mages and their wardens. Those rules were soon adopted by all of Sarkoris. The persecution of mages ceased, and the number of crimes involving spellcasters dwindled. Having traveled back in time, he convinced the mage Opan and the witch hunter Cetri to work together. The Demon Lord Descari sought out ways to invade Golarion, which he so deeply despised, but without the Word Wound, his efforts were for naught. The Demon Lord Nauticola took little interest in these fruitless attempts. She had her share of concerns in Errinerong, for she had discovered that a cell of Templars of the Ever Labyrinth had been operating in her city. Galfrey inherited the throne after her father. She was crowned queen when she was 40 years old, already a wise and experienced ruler. Galfrey was beloved by the common folk, the aristocracy alike, and her reign is considered the mark of the beginning of the golden age of Mendevian chivalry. Prior to ascending the throne, she married one of her knights, with whom she later had 3 children. The queen died in her bed at a ripe old age, surrounded by family and friends. Canabres, a small town on the Sarkorian border, was so unremarkable that it could only be found on the most detailed of maps. The only jewel in its humble crown was an old temple of Eomede, run by a wise old man, Prelate Hulrun, a paragon of duty, purity and compassion. Yerebeth Tirabate, daughter of common Mendevian soldiers, plied the family trade and time earned the title of knight. She never started a family, instead living a life of solitude, as her subordinates would joke when out of earshot she was married to her duty. The runaway from Nidail by the name of Anevia found no happiness in the river kingdoms. She perished in obscurity, killed by one of the many beasts and cutthroats inhabiting that restless region. The storyteller, as old as the tales he collected, continued his travels across Golarion and occasionally beyond. He knew that out there somewhere there was one story he would never find, his own. He feared to find the storyteller's lost memories. Damn. In the absence of Word Wound, there was no need for Sela to journey across the entire continent. She remained in the south, fighting evil and helping those in need just as tirelessly. Among Sela's war stories, there were a couple of new, particular fanciful tales, like the one about the massive demon lord attacking a city, after which Sela and her certain brave comrade of hers fell down into the underground caves and fought their way out. Whenever she told that story, she would always add, "You don't have to believe me," and her eyes would always be twinked with sadness. You erased yourself from timeline, but on a final impulse you decide to allow your companions to retain their memories of you. Without demonic influence, the mongrel tribe never came to be. Instead, on the outskirts of Canabris, in a loving family, there lived a country boy named Lan, who wanted to grow up to be a farmer like his father. The neighbor's girl, Venduak, visited their farm often. The pair's quarrel and the reconciliations that followed were a constant topic of discussion. And yet, the bond of these shared was something more than simple friendship. It sometimes seemed that they were keeping some kind of terrible secret, only the two know. Without any demonic intervention, Wulchif grew up in an ordinary human family in Canabris. The moment he came of age, he declared, "Nobody understands me here," and departed for Nerosian, where he joined a thief gang and soon after was sent to prison for the first time. His jailers were profoundly confused about the phrase Wulchif would repeat every now and then. "I tell ya, if the chief was here right now, you would let me out right quick." In Kionin, a strange, pensive girl was born, the latest in a long line of spellcasters. Once she came of age, she left her home to preach the Golarians about kindness and mercy. In time, an order of knights errant formed around her, every one of them talking a vow of poverty. In her preaching, she would often mention her mentor, a mysterious knight who had apparently taught her everything she knew. There were those who believed this knight was an angel of some kind, or even a deity that watched over this woman. Others interpreted the knight as a purely metaphorical figure. The tireless explorer, scientist, and future rector of all Absalom's institutes of learning at once traveled around the world as she compiled the Encyclopedia Gularonica. Because of her experience, she was banned from entering several cities and even one small kingdom. There were times when she stopped dead in her tracks and rubbed her nose furiously, trying to remember something or someone very important to Golarion. Alas, her attempts were futile. Diran Ende grew up living happily in his family estate, in the care of his mother, Countess Silane Ende. The young man developed a strong friendship with his royal kin. His innate charm allowed him to build an impressive career in diplomacy. He became one of Mendev's emissaries and sometime later the head of the kingdom's diplomatic service. He was remembered by his descendants for his witty remarks, which became household expressions in the country at large. Some of his most memorable offenses defied precise interpretation. However, such as, "What's a little plague on one's birthday?" or "When demons spoil a party, do not begrudge one uninvited guest, for he may just save the whole night." Like all servants of Shaelin, Sosiel Venik, a village priest from Andoran, had a passion for art, but his paintings never became anything greater than the unsophisticated works of an amateur. The sweet aroma of the wine from his family vineyards, however, was famous throughout the countryside. One day, a Mendevian engineer by the name of Aaron Kier, who was passing through on business, had a sip of the wine and was so delighted by its taste, or by something else perhaps, that he took up permanent residence in the village. Sosiel's single truly striking painting was a portrait of a general at the head of an army of knights. No one could ever determine who these warriors were or who was the person leading them into battle. According to Sosiel, the scene had come to him in a dream. In a world without word wound, the order of the God Claw was never founded, but Rachel Derange nevertheless reached the highest ranks of the Hell Knights. He dedicated his life to the struggle against chaos and evil. The Hell Knight resisted the effects of the bleaching incredibly well. When he asked what it was that allowed him to live for so long, he replied cryptically, "The commander has not released me from my service or given me the order to die." Oh, Rachel, nice. Graber decided to stay with his wife and their daughter Mora, forever renouncing his dangerous adventures in the past as had not been. After a long and steady life, he became a grey-haired elder with a harsh countenance and eyes filled with silent yearning. Oh nice, sei Ende ist so viel besser jetzt an. Among the many demons that inhabited Aloshnira, the succubus by the name of Arushale was known for her cunning and deftness. In time, she was recognized and elevated by the ruler of the city. Her serene demeanor marked her out as different from her sisters, and she surprised all she met with a dislike for bloodshed. However, those who considered her soft were taught a swift and deadly lesson. Graber sei Ende ist so viel besser.
And what of me, the writer of these words? The half-demon witch known as the architect of the world wound. I was defeated. I fell at the hand of the one I was planning to transform in a future that did not come to pass. My experiment ended in failure before it had even begun, which means that I died an innocent, before I could commit any sins against the universe. I have recounted the story of my life for you, Pharasma, Lady of Graves. Not only of my life, but of the Commander's also. I believed the tale of such an illustrious figure would pique even a goddess's curiosity. Now you know everything. I await your verdict, goddess.
Silence hangs over Boneyard. The Lady of Graves is waiting her decision, and it seems the entire universe is holding its breath, awaiting her pronouncement. Who would dare to break her silence so absolute? Intervene. Und da mache ich das gleiche wie gestern, weil sie verdient keine Mercy. Also wieder Diplomacy. I appeal to a sense of justice. Great evil deserves a commensurate punishment. Your words ring out in the silence. They are heard, considered, and given their due weight.
The laws of the universe have existed for millennia. They are incontrovertible, but even they allow the decider of fate some degree of influence over the verdict. You wish to wreak great evil upon the world, but you were thwarted by the life of the one you had doomed to unbeing. Your hands are clean, not by your own doing, but merely as a confluence of circumstance. Your soul is as dark as it ever was. And even the one whom you harmed most of all now appeals to my sense of justice. I shall send you to the abyss, plane of pain and fury, suffering and privation. That which you have done to others will now be done to you. So be it. Now you, the mortal who has risen so high as to stand boldly in the presence of the goddess of fate. You have done the impossible, and you will be remembered as long as this universe exists. You have earned your peace.
The end.